so that all may have life and have it abundantly. And you know that that's what Jesus said in John 10:10. And he said it all throughout the Gospels, over and over in different ways. He said to the Pharisees, you come to kill, steal, and destroy. I come to give life and life abundantly. You know, and the Old Testament was full of these prophecies of the Good Shepherd coming, and the year when the Messiah came would be the year of Jubilee. And it was very physical. It was very much about the nation of Israel. And of course, Jesus broke everything apart when he said, it's not just for you. It's for every nation, every people group, and every person. So that's our dream, okay? The harsh reality. And I started this journey in 1978, so as Mott said, there's been tremendous progress. But the harsh reality is that there's still over half the world, about 3 billion people that live on less than $2.50 a day. And no matter how you cut the cake, that is not an abundant life. There's a lot of misery, right? And just last week, or just before we left, I saw a McKinsey report that was a letter from the CEO of Halliburton, multi-billion-dollar global company. And it was interesting that he said, capitalism has done a great job. It's been a great tool to advance the world. However, when 85 people in the world, 85 people out of 7 billion and counting, when 85 people have as much wealth as 3 billion people, something is not right. And it's not going to keep working this way. So his whole thesis in his letter, as the CEO, he wrote to the shareholders, is that business has to change and serve broader society. And we have to think long-term instead of short-term. And we have to think about collaboration and working together as opposed to being individualistic. Kind of radical for an American company. Okay. Many organizations want to help. Unfortunately, most interventions are not systemic. They perpetuate dependency. And most important, they lack respect for the ability and innate talent of all humanity as image bearers of God. Okay? And I think that last part is why we don't have systemic responses and why we create dependency, is because we don't truly respect people as equals. Partners Worldwide takes a different approach. This is very important. It's hard work, but it lasts. We mobilize long-term, hands-on global relationships to form a powerful Christian network that uses business as a way to create flourishing economic environments in all parts of the world. So it's not just about an individual business and the number of jobs it creates, it's about the whole. The whole. Okay? My story. Do you recognize that guy? Someone asked me in Taiwan, how do you sign up for Partners Worldwide? I said, are you crazy? First criteria, you have to be crazy. I grew up in Washington State on a farm. And when I was 19 years old, I was in university. I took an agricultural economics class. And there I got introduced, this is 1976, I got introduced to Thomas Malthus. How many of you have heard of Thomas Malthus and the Malthusian theory? If you go home and Google it, today you'll see on the top of Google, Malthusian catastrophe. And when I gave this talk about a month ago in Seattle, that very next day in the New York Times, the headlines was that Thomas Malthus may be vindicated yet because of global warming. But basically, what he said was, population will grow exponentially, but food production and resources are finite, or they can only grow linearly. So by 2030, we will have massive chaos and starvation. I was 19 years old, and I said, my goodness, that's in my lifetime. And because I always wanted to be, I always had a goal to live to be 100. I don't know why. And that I look at that class and that moment as God's call on my life. But I wrote my church and asked if I would want to be an agricultural missionary. How do I prepare? And I got a letter back that I didn't think answered my question, so I threw it away and forgot about it. And then when I was graduating, I took a job. I took a job with a consulting company to work with big farmers. And right after I signed the contract, I saw there was an advertisement in the church publication that said, urgently needed, agronomists in Haiti and Bangladesh. And I remembered that class, and I said, oh no. And I called up, and I interviewed, and they sent me to Bangladesh, where I didn't want to go, in 1978. But you know, I share this because I went thinking I knew everything. You know, when you're 21 years old, you think you know everything. And I was kind of told I know everything. You're going to teach the Bengali farmers how to grow enough food to feed their families. I was being paid to help farmers become more scientific, more productive in the U.S. As a missionary. I was going to teach them how to grow enough food. So that was kind of the mindset. And Bangladesh in 1978 was very poor. It imported almost everything. Almost all of its GDP was aid. So it was a basket case because it was a young nation. But what I discovered, you can imagine what I discovered, and that is the Bengali farmers were very talented and hardworking and entrepreneurial. And they taught me everything I know about rice, because I didn't know anything about rice. But I'd go around and ask them questions like I knew. And then I'd say, very good answer. And then oh boy. And it was an unbelievable experience. But what the paradigm shift was that we said, let's ask them as customers what their priorities are instead of telling them what we think they should know. And they identified things that we took for granted in the United States as farmers, and so we did it, and it was very successful. And that forever changed my attitude about the poor, because I said if I was born in Bangladesh and I had a half-acre of land and I had a hoe, and I might be in worse shape than these guys. So I had a great respect for them, and we got a lot of good things done. And today, Bangladesh is the 4th largest rice producer in the world, in a country that's the size of Wisconsin. It's the largest garment producer in the world, and it's on target. And Muhammad Yunus has a goal for Bangladesh to have a poverty museum for people that say poverty by 2030. And Bangladesh is targeted by the World Bank to be in the next 11 nations moving into the middle-income country. So, long story short, I didn't, when I went back, I ended up getting married and moving to Uganda in post-Idi Amin's time. Very, very difficult time. And then we moved to Kenya, and we started expanding in the region, but doing integrated, what we call integrated development. Education, healthcare, food production, and microenterprise. And then some business people came out in the 90s to see. They were all entrepreneurs, business owners, and they asked the question. They talked a lot like Mats was showing in that pyramid. Doug, you're on the top of the ladder because you're a missionary, and then pastors, and then teachers, and social workers, and doctors. But we're not even in the room. We're outside waiting to be told how much to write the check for. And they asked the question: is there a way for us to be part of the solution to ending poverty instead of being seen as part of the problem? And that was, all of you have DNA. We're all uniquely created, right? Every organization has a DNA, and Partners' DNA is that. Business people personally involved in using business and entrepreneurship to help become part of the solution to ending poverty. Okay, so Partners Worldwide, our model. So it was from that little DNA that we went back to the States after 19 years with our 5 children, 2 born in Uganda and 3 adopted from Ethiopia, all war babies. And we jumped in and tried this. There's 3 parts to our model. The first is the what we call the LCI. It's a local community institution. The second part is just there we go. The second part is the BA, the business affiliate. And you'll see that's on the same line with Partners because it's affiliated with Partners Worldwide. And then there's Partners Worldwide. Our model, a local community institution is an independently owned, registered, and led organization that's working to end poverty through business. Here's a group in northern Uganda called Talanta Finance, promoting your talent in business. You probably know about northern Uganda and the Lord's Resistance Army, and people were in camps for 25 years because it was just a brutal war. And so people were off the farms, and then they finally had peace and they're going back home. Timothy heard about us and came to the United States in 2004, and he said, wow, I thought I was the only business guy in the world that thought my business was my ministry. And here's 400 other people that think the same thing. He was on fire. So he learned about our model, went back and formed this in 2005. And today he serves 4,000 entrepreneurs, has $1 million in loan capital that's circulating. And his dream is to have a commercial bank for the poor, because of course there's very little up in the north of Uganda. The other thing is he started a medical clinic because there was no medical services, and school. And he is truly creating thousands of jobs, but he's doing more than that. He's rebuilding a flourishing economic environment and community in northern Uganda. The business affiliate. These are experienced business people who deeply commit to assist the local organization. They form partnership and their team, and they also work with some individual businesses. They're all volunteers, okay? So they get trained by Partners Worldwide. But they work just like you do in a business partnership. They create plans. They have accountability. They say, what are you guys going to do? What are we going to do? And they'll identify the obstacles and barriers to growth, create a plan to address it. They go every year at a minimum to the site. They'll bring people from there back to the U.S. and they fund. They provide financial resources as well. We currently have 600 of these folks. Now what's really cool, and that's what I'm so excited about in Hong Kong and Asia, it started out as being all U.S. folks. As they went, and they, what business people do, they network. The idea is now just over half of these 600 are from the countries we work in. So we're building a global network, right? And then finally, Partners Worldwide. Our staff are at the heart of the network. Because what we found is it's one thing to take Tony and hook him up with someone in another country, but what we found is that without the glue, the liaison, the person in the middle, it would break down. They'd be really excited when they were together, but the accountability, the follow-up didn't work. They said, we need somebody on the ground that will be the facilitator, the manager of the partnership. And this young man here happens to be from Wisconsin, but Partners has 31 staff on our global team, 12 in the U.S., 19 around the world. Most of these people are, again, from the local community. They're Filipino, or they're Kenyan, or whatever it might be, okay? We work on 4 continents, and currently in 25 countries, and hopefully soon we will add to that as Jackie's moving to Manila in September, and we really want to focus on Asia, okay? So there we are. And of course, I don't say this to all groups, but you folks are all believers, so you see the significance of the cross. You want a partner? Get on the cross. There you will die to yourself and serve, and it's a beautiful thing. Okay, and then what do we do with this network? We form partnerships, like we said, with the local institutions, removing obstacles. This is a key thing, like Bangladesh. Within 6 months, I said, that Chinese proverb is not right. Give a man a fish to eat for the day. Teach a man to fish to eat for a lifetime. Said, that's not true. These farmers know how to fish. They know how to farm. They don't have access to the pond. They don't even own land. They don't have access. And that's true globally. The poor are very talented. Often, they don't have access. So as successful business people, we're all about access. We're all about connecting rich and poor. We're all about bringing the marginalized into the global community. So, partnerships with these institutions, and then building up permanent local capacity. And you know what capacity is? It's the ability to function, perform, without having somebody else do it for you. But it's all focused on catalyzing entrepreneurs and job creators. And you know, we can talk about SMEs and employing so many people, but you can go to any village in the world and you will find entrepreneurs, because God has them there. They're a small percentage of the population, but they are there. And you can tell the entrepreneurs because they're creating something. Doesn't matter how rudimentary, but they're creating something, okay? And that's who we're trying to identify. And we celebrate business as a calling to do God's work. We have said business is an outstanding Christian calling from the first year, every year. And the 4 things we do, we'll click there. Training. Over the years, we've developed a business curriculum, inside out, bottom up. Not something that we had some professors do or some business experts do. It's been in-house over time. And Jackie, do you have that? Huh? Do you have it? Can you hold it up? We have a 12-week curriculum, and it's very unique because it starts with worldview, your purpose on earth, and your calling in business, and then it gets into how to run an excellent business. By the end of the 12 weeks, you have a business plan, and it gets into management and leadership and how you set yourself apart. So we just finally published and copyrighted this. Before we just had it, and it wasn't very friendly looking. And the other thing is we're training coaches, we're training trainers to be certified trainers, and so we can start to get this out globally. But this is 12 weeks, 3 hours a week, and it's done within peer settings. So that's where all the learning comes from, all the back and forth. But no one can get a loan without going through this training first. And when we started in Kenya, everybody said, money's the barrier. We can't get access to capital, so we started with that. But we soon discovered that capital without training, without accountability, without the support and encouragement, doesn't work as well, okay? So this is Alba in Ecuador, and that's our local partner there is Cuenca Partners. And it was started out of a visionary church who said, we've got to serve business people, equip them just like everybody else. And the thing is really taking off, and they want to go into Venezuela and Peru, and so I mentioned that because churches can be good local institutions to catalyze entrepreneurs as well. Just like we heard, you separate structure, you don't implement, but churches are a powerful catalyst for this movement. We have a lady in Western Kenya right now that's working in a seminary, and the pastors are getting this training, and they're just it's like they're getting salvation and repenting that they haven't affirmed their business people before. Mentoring those who have gone through the school of hard knocks. Mentor others with a listening ear, a voice of encouragement, and experience. And that's where these 600 come in. And you all know the importance of mentors. This guy is in Honduras, helping the local group there in Nueva Ciapa. And then advocacy. We help communities advocate for themselves, removing barriers to a fair and flourishing business environment and a healthy community. This lady here has a title deed. She's part of a family that was landless for 3 generations. Most of the poor in Latin America, 80% of the poor in Latin America are landless. We're trying to fix that. And some of the landlords live in California. They don't even know that they have the land. It's been handed down generationally. So we're buying up 100-acre parcels at a time, carving it up into plots, and letting them buy it over a period of 7 to 10 years. And when they're done, they have a deed, they own it. You can't believe the transformation. The kingdom of God is coming on earth in those mountains in Nicaragua. And then finally, access to capital. And that's last because of what I just said. Capital is very effective. It's very effective when it's done right and in the context of all these other things. And we have a vehicle called the Global Fund where we'll lend to the local institutions like Talanta. And we've watched the repayment. The repayment rates currently are at 98%. They weren't that way before. So that's a great thing. And that capital is used to fund the dreams of entrepreneurs and small and medium enterprises. And it ranges from $500 to $10,000. That's about the amount. When it all comes together, what does it look like? This is in Ghana, and this is Hope Line Institute. And a business lady and her husband had this vision to have holistic transformation for the marginalized through business. And it's Dennis and Fanny Peters. And Fanny, she had started this. We found her after about 2.5 years, and we've been working with her since. And she was doing an excellent job with micro-lending through village savings groups. But she had such a powerful product and approach. She's working with small, medium, even large enterprises. And then I share this story because of the growing network there in Ghana, all Christian, all committed to business, and they're really standing out. They're like a bright light. And but what's neat is Partners Worldwide hasn't put any money into this institution except loans, which we get interest on. So it's more of a business proposition. Why is this not wanting to? Oh, there we go. Last September, this is Dennis. Dennis has a construction business, and 3 years ago, Partners Worldwide formed a company. We formed a company, investment company, to lend to individual businesses to expand the Partners' business mission model to those ventures that can have greater community impact, create more jobs, and return capital to investors. So it's a young company, and so Dennis is the guy that got some debt equity from us. So this was September last year. He's doing entry-level housing for the poor. Accra's growing very rapidly, like a lot of African cities. So we gave him a note for operational capital. He had never taken a loan from a bank. They don't trust these guys don't trust the banks in Ghana. So they've grown their business, what they call organically, from their profits. It goes slower. So we gave him some capital. While we were out there, we learned of this. Dennis was going to go to Turkey to import a container of double pane windows because he wanted to be a step above the competition. The local windows are the British louver ones with the glass, the glass panes. And while he was there, the owner said to him, "Young man, there's something different about you." And Dennis is telling me this right here. He says, "I'll tell you what." He says, "You've got something." And he says, "I'll tell you what I've got. I've got Jesus Christ." The guy says, "How would you like to start my company in Ghana instead of importing my windows?" He's a Muslim. And so here Dennis is, and we didn't even know this. He's already started putting up the walls. And so we had one of our business affiliate members was Carla McCarthy from Vancouver, Washington. She works for HSBC. She does about $500 million a year in loans. She helped him go through another proposal, an underwriting process like she uses at HSBC, and proposed that we give him another note he had already started putting up the walls to get this over the top so it wouldn't drag on. That's September, that's December. That's December, and that's January. 50 new employees. He shipped his first order. He has $1 million of orders, and he's on his way. He's already paid back his first principal payment and interest to PW Entrepreneurs. So you can see the excitement, and also these are really good jobs, and there was recently a summit in DC by all these big thinkers, and they said, they're looking at the world trends, and I don't want to repeat everything you've heard, but they said the thing that's going to get people out of poverty are good paying jobs, and it's got to be locally rooted. So Hope Line has a vision to create 1 million jobs by 2020. They want to be all over Ghana. So this is our current. This is a year ago. These results are a year ago. We have 57 of these local partners, 30 business affiliate groups. We have a lot of subject matter experts as well. People who can go for a week or two and train finance, accounting, marketing, branding. But these groups are the ones that they commit long term. So there's a structure for people that 7,000 graduates, 9 million in loans, and 51,000 jobs last year created. We're on target to go over 70,000 this year. Vision 2020. I'll be quick because we're almost out of time. A dream of Jubilee. A year ago, we spent a year-long inquiry with our global partners and created a Vision 2020 together. 4 strategic directions guide our plans and actions. Global by design, deepen and expand partnerships, business people building community, and advocate intentionally. I'm really excited about this because I know this is going to change dramatically what we do, and I call it, we're poised for a quantum leap, I believe, over the next 7 years. We strive for unity to be reflected in all aspects of our global network of partners. In thought, word, and deed, we move further away from the us to them. We have that mentality in the U.S., I'll just confess that. Move away from the us to them mentality through our structure, our brand, our board, staff, and partnership model. We are linked, not ranked, celebrating and spreading innovation and entrepreneurship throughout the system. So on this trip, I'm seeing so many things that you folks are doing in Asia that I would love to have taught in the U.S. or in Africa. That's the idea. Instead of things going through the U.S. and back out, we want everything to be happening simultaneously, learning together. So we're trying to figure that out using technology, but also having hubs, regional hubs like we're putting, that are equal. You get the idea. We're trying to grow this truly global network of equals. Deepen and expand partnerships. We have a great partnership model. We've seen the transformation that happens. But we're now getting companies like Cargill and Nestle and others who have corporate social responsibility, and they're saying, you know what's unique about partners? No one has the network like we do. So they all want people they can trust. So we're trying to look at how we work with churches, corporations, and other like-minded organizational allies, USAID, Food Enterprise Institute, to expand, but most of all, leverage what we do by bringing resources and opportunities together. I'm really excited about this one because business people don't think of themselves as leaders in the community or that their business is a community builder. So this is probably a really important one. I know I'm running out of time. I'm going to have to fast forward here. Is it really 30 minutes already? Or am I? So the idea is transforming the entire community, okay? That's basically what it is. And then advocate intentionally. Some problems are so intrinsic and they've been in place for centuries that it takes the combined will and effort of a lot of people to break them. And one of them is landlessness. Another is trade. Get involved. Do we have a sign-up sheet, Houghton? We need partners, so get a sign-up sheet. Help us grow the region in the regions we serve, the new geographies. There's a greenhouse there, if you didn't recognize that. Get involved, invest your financial resources. In the U.S., they talk about the last decade, 2000 to 2010. If you invested in 10,000 in the market, in 2000, you'd have the same 10,000 in 2010 because greed and everything else up and down, flat. Partners wasn't flat. We've never been flat. We've never been flat. You can't be flat when you're doing kingdom work. It's exponential, and it's always growing. So it's a good investment. How come I can't get this? There we go. Become a prayer partner. We have teams of prayer, strategic prayer warriors, because we are doing battle. We are doing battle in places where they have strongholds, minds, systems. Okay? Invest your time and skills and start and join a business affiliate. Northern Nigeria, where the Muslim clashes are, where these guys took these girls. Well, these guys from West Michigan started Water Winds. There's no water up there. Water Winds, they drill wells, But you know what? They're getting the living water. They planted churches, built schools, medical clinics, and I think 400,000 people have clean water now. But more than that, they are getting into businesses and they're building the kingdom. The kingdom of God's being rooted down there. And then local community institutions. There's Daniel Jean-Louis in Haiti. He had a vision for 100,000 jobs in Haiti by 2020. And he said, we're never going to do it if NGOs keep bringing all the free stuff in. So he created an alliance, a 100,000 job coalition, to get churches, NGOs, and businesses working together to buy Haiti. Buy Haiti. Haiti made, Haiti produced, Haiti purchased. And it's waste your time. Wait. For the coming of our Savior Christ Jesus, and while we wait, we roll up our sleeves and keep working. Amen?
Amen.